There is a very particular moment in a person's life when you no longer collapse, but you also no longer move forward. You keep living, keep working, keep trying, but inside a quiet emptiness has appeared. The goals that once made you excited no longer create motivation. Each step becomes heavy not because it is too hard, but because it no longer feels right. And it is precisely here that the thought of quitting appears, not violently, not in despair, but very reasonably, as if stopping is the safest choice. According to Jung, this is not a sign of failure, but a sign that a limit has been reached. When an old life structure is no longer strong enough to support the person you are becoming, energy withdraws, not to make you fall, but to force you to stop and look deeper. This exhaustion does not come from you becoming weaker, but from you having gone beyond your own old framework. The problem is that many people quit right here. They mistake stagnation for being on the wrong path. They believe the emptiness is proof that they have failed. But Jung suggests that this darkest stage often appears right before an important shift, when the inner life is restructuring from the roots. This video is not meant to push you to try harder, but to help you see why the very moment you most want to stop may be the moment you are moving very close to the next transition. Part 1. This exhaustion does not come randomly. Have you ever wondered why there are periods when even after getting enough rest, the feeling of exhaustion still does not go away? You still sleep enough, still eat relatively well, still go to work, still fulfill your responsibilities, still do not give up on your life. From the outside, there are no signs that you are falling apart, but inside, there is a feeling that is hard to name. You no longer feel replenished enough to continue, even though all the basic conditions have been met. What makes this state uncomfortable is that it does not resemble the kinds of tiredness you are familiar with. You are not so tired that you only want to lie down and sleep endlessly. You're also not tired because you overworked for a short period. On the contrary, you still maintain a steady rhythm of life. It is just that everything seems to consume more energy than before. Things that used to feel natural now require you to strain more, even though the difficulty has not increased at all because there is no clear cause. Many people turn to doubting themselves. They think maybe they have become weaker, less focused, or no longer disciplined enough. When the tiredness drags on, the usual reflex is to try to fix behavior, rest more, sleep more, reorganize time, force yourself to be stricter. These approaches sound very reasonable, and in many cases, they really work. But with this kind of exhaustion, the strange thing is that you have tried, and it still does not disappear. You can imagine this state like sitting for a very long time in a closed room with poor air circulation. At first, you still feel fine. You do not notice anything unusual. But the longer you stay, the more you begin to feel heavy, sluggish, and unable to concentrate. The problem is not that you are sitting in the wrong posture, nor that you have not rested enough. The problem is that the environment is no longer providing enough oxygen for you to maintain alertness. And if you do not open the door or change the conditions inside the room, no matter how many times you rest there, it will not fully resolve this suffocating feeling. This kind of exhaustion operates by a similar logic. It does not come from you lacking strength, but from the internal system having had to maintain a prolonged state of tension. When a person constantly has to focus, control themselves, keep the pace, and keep responsibilities, the nervous system learns to operate in a high alert mode. At first, this mode is very effective. You become more alert, react faster, and handle pressure better. You can carry out many tasks without feeling too tired, but a high alert is not designed to last forever. If it continues, the body and mind begin to reduce the level of energy investment in order to protect themselves. This reduction does not happen by making you collapse. It happens quietly, by making energy harder to access than before. You still have the ability, but you need more force to activate it. You still work, but it no longer feels as smooth as it used to. This explains why ordinary rest does not solve the problem. Rest helps the body recover after exertion. But here, the problem is not how much you have spent. It is that your internal system has shifted into a saving mode, like a device that automatically reduces power when it runs too long to avoid overload. Your mind and body do the same. And once in that mode, Forcing it to operate as before only makes the exhaustion feel clearer. You can see this very clearly in everyday examples. For instance, someone still does the same job